I place the last crystal goblet on the table and step back to admire my handiwork. The salmon glistens beneath the gentle glow of the dining room chandelier, resting elegantly on Grandma Alice's antique china. Vera Lynn's treasured embroidered tablecloth lies flawlessly across the mahogany surface, every corner perfectly smoothed, not a single crease in sight. "Simone, did you remember the lemon wedges?" Vera Lynn calls from the living room where she hosts her bridge companion, June Parker. The television hums softly in the background, its volume adjusted to the exact level my mother prefers. "Right here," I answer, arranging the slices in a neat fan the precise way she expects them. My hands move automatically, trained by 12 years of these careful adjustments, these quiet acts of compliance. Cousin Lucas arrives carrying a bottle of white wine, brushing a quick kiss against my cheek before moving eagerly to greet our mother. Soon after, the Andersons from next door enter with a small present wrapped in silver paper. The gathering is modest, only 5 guests assembled to celebrate the woman who gave me life. When everyone takes their seats, I raise my glass to offer a toast. To Mom, on your special day, may this year bring you happiness and... Actually, Vera Lynn interrupts, her voice sharp and clear like the wine in our glasses. I would like to say something. She smooths her napkin carefully across her lap and surveys the table with the composed satisfaction of a monarch addressing loyal subjects. You have all been so thoughtful to come today. At my age, birthdays inspire reflection on what truly matters. Her eyes settle on me, and something in her gaze grows cold despite the pleasant curve of her smile. And what would matter most to me? What would be the greatest gift my daughter could offer? She pauses deliberately, her tone lifting as though announcing a delightful surprise. Is for her to leave my life. The room falls silent. June's fork halts midway to her mouth. Lucas stares down at his plate. The quiet stretches painfully, thick and suffocating. "Mom?" The word escapes my lips, fragile and uncertain. "You have fulfilled your duty, dear. 12 years is quite enough sacrifice, wouldn't you agree? It is time for both of us to move forward." Her voice remains light, conversational, as though she is discussing the weather rather than dismissing me entirely. My hands rest motionless in my lap. I feel every gaze shifting between us, witnessing the moment when the foundation beneath my world collapses. I stand slowly, my napkin slipping unnoticed to the floor. Without speaking, I walk to the coat closet, slip my arms into my jacket, and step out into the cool evening air. Behind me, the birthday cake remains untouched on the sideboard, its candles still unlit. The night air cools my flushed skin as I wander aimlessly. 12 years earlier, I had been 26 and thriving in my master's art program. Professor Harwood had described my work as transformative, hinting at gallery opportunities after graduation. Then the call came. "Simone, I've fallen. It's my hip." My mother's voice trembled through the receiver. "The doctor says I'll need surgery and months of recovery. You're all I have." 2 days later, I packed 3 suitcases, planning to stay only until she recovered, and returned to my childhood home. I postponed my final semester, assuring my professors I would return within 6 months. 6 months stretched into a year. A year became 2. Somehow 12 years vanished while I wasn't paying attention. The days following the birthday dinner blur together. By the 3rd morning, my phone rings repeatedly. Vera Lynn's name flashes across the screen again and again. I watch it ring until silence returns. Instead of answering, I retrieve the leather journal I bought last Christmas but never opened. On the first blank page, I write, "I have been erased from my own life." The words appear stark and undeniable. After writing, I do something I have not done since returning home. I lock my bedroom door. The quiet click of the lock sliding into place feels like liberation. Sitting on the edge of my bed, memories surface. I recall returning from an art retreat to find my childhood bedroom completely repainted. The gentle yellow walls I had chosen replaced with beige. My mother had smiled proudly. Surprise! I thought the room needed refreshing. My art books had been reorganized, my posters removed, my space reshaped according to her vision. It was only one of countless moments. Small erasures accumulating until the person I once was became buried beneath the person she required me to be. I stand before the mirror now, studying my reflection. When did the fine lines form around my eyes? When did my shoulders learn to curl inward like this? My career, my friendships, even the possibility of love sacrificed in the name of duty. The woman staring back feels like a stranger. With sudden clarity, I realize I barely recognize myself. The next morning, I stand beneath the buzzing fluorescent lights of First National Bank, waiting in line with my account statement clutched tightly in my hand. A hollow emptiness has settled inside me since the birthday dinner 4 days earlier. Vera Lynn and I move silently around each other at home, choreographing avoidance. Next customer, please? The teller, Marlene, smiles politely as I approach, her salt and pepper hair reminding me of my former professor. I would like to review my account transactions for the past year, I say, sliding my identification forward. Of course, Miss Bennett. You're a joint account with Vera Lynn Bennett, correct? I nod while she studies the screen. A subtle shift crosses her expression. Is something wrong? I ask. She hesitates. There have been multiple transfers from this account to one solely under your mother's name. How much? Over the last 12 months, she replies after checking. $7,800. My fingers tighten around the counter. May I see the transfer records? She provides copies, each bearing what appears to be my signature. But they are not mine. The curves too rounded, the strokes unfamiliar. These are not my signatures, I whisper. Marlene's expression grows sympathetic. Similar transfers have occurred for years. Your mother told Mr. Dalton you approved all expenses. Outside, the manila folder feels heavy in my hands. When I return home, voices drift from the kitchen. Vera Lynn and June Parker sit together, falling silent as I enter. Simone, we were just talking about you, Vera Lynn says cheerfully. The cameo brooch at her collar catches the light, my grandmother's piece that vanished from my jewelry box last Christmas. Were you? I ask quietly. She praises my devotion, my sacrifices. June asks about expensive roof repairs Vera Lynn mentioned. There was no storm, no repairs. Later, while my mother naps, I search her desk and discover property documents altering ownership of the house, reducing my share. My savings account balance has dwindled from over $12,000 to barely more than $1,000. In the attic, my art supplies have disappeared, replaced by bins labeled as my mother's craft materials. She admits she donated my professional supplies without permission. The following morning, June calls in secret, warning me that Vera Lynn has been telling others I am mentally unstable, even considering placing me in a care facility. After the call, I meet with attorney Thomas Reyes, who reviews the evidence and explains that financial exploitation within families is unfortunately common but legally actionable. 3 days later, concerned messages from relatives begin arriving. Cousin Lucas leaves a voicemail expressing worry about my behavior. My mother's campaign has begun. Neighbors watch me differently. Whispers follow me. That afternoon, Mrs. Anderson studies me from her porch. Her friendly warmth replaced my suspicion. Later, through an open window, I overhear her murmuring to her husband. Such a shame when the caretaker needs care. Vera Lynn says she's been having episodes. Episodes. The word coils around my throat like a snake. That evening, an envelope slides under my door. Inside, a formal invitation on Vera Lynn's monogrammed stationery. Family meeting, Saturday, 2 p.m., June's house. My name isn't listed among the attendees. I've become a topic, not a participant. The next morning brings fresh revelations. The credit card statement arrives with my name, but unfamiliar charges. A diamond bracelet, dining at restaurants I've never visited, a weekend spa retreat in Scottsdale. My heart pounds against my ribs as I scan the total. $4,760. At the credit bureau office, the clerk's expression shifts from professional to pitying as she scrolls through my report. There are 3 accounts opened in your name in the past 8 months, she says, all carrying balances. Were you aware of these? I shake my head, my mouth dry as sand. You might want to file a fraud report. She slides a form across the desk, though it gets complicated when it's family. Family. The word no longer means safety. The doorbell rings the following day, and my body responds before my mind can catch up. Pulse racing, palm sweating, breath shallow. I peek through the curtains instead of answering. The UPS driver leaves a package and walks away, but the damage is done. I've become afraid of my own doorbell. That night, I search for my birth certificate and social security card in the filing cabinet where they've always been kept. The folder sits in its place, but the contents are gone. My passport is missing from the desk drawer. Even my college diplomas have vanished from the wall, leaving rectangular shadows on the faded paint. I begin carrying my driver's license in my bra rather than my purse. I take photos of my room before leaving each morning, comparing the images when I return. The hairbrush moved 2 inches to the left. The drawer containing my journal slightly ajar. My reading glasses nowhere to be found. Someone is searching my space, erasing me piece by piece. Then, unexpectedly, a lifeline appears. A small white envelope slides under my bedroom door one evening, not Vera Lynn's formal stationery, but plain notebook paper folded into thirds. The handwriting is unfamiliar. You are not invisible, And you are not wrong. No signature, but I recognize the lavender scent of Elaine Darnell's hand lotion, the neighbor who lives 3 doors down, who smiles when we cross paths at the supermarket. I tuck the note into my journal, running my fingers over the words until they blur beneath my touch, the first validation I felt in years. Saturday arrives with the weight of inevitability. I hear them gathering in the kitchen. Lucas's deep voice, June's characteristic laugh, the tap of Vera Lynn's cane against the tile floor. I stand in the hallway listening. She refuses to see reason, Vera Lynn says, her voice trembling with practiced vulnerability. After everything I've done. We'll talk sense into her, assures her. I step into the doorway. The conversation halts. 3 pairs of eyes turn toward me. Simone, Lucas stands, his expression a mixture of concern and condescension. We need to discuss your behavior. My behavior? The words escape in a whisper. The erratic spending, the paranoia, the accusations. He counts off on his fingers. After everything your mother's done, this is how you repay her? Something shifts inside me, a tectonic plate moving after years of pressure. I straighten my spine, feeling my full height for the first time in years. No one has the right to demand my entire life in return for being my parent. I say, my voice steady. Not even her. Lucas blinks, startled by the clarity in my tone. You've always been dramatic, Vera Lynn interjects, reaching for June's hand. She gets this from her father's side. Dramatic? I laugh, the sound foreign to my own ears. Is it dramatic to want autonomy? To question why my signature appears on documents I never signed? The doorbell interrupts us. I answer without hesitation, relief washing over me at the sight of Thomas Reyes in his pressed suit, leather portfolio tucked under his arm. He nods professionally. Miss Bennett, I have those documents you requested. Behind him stands Elaine Darnell, her silver hair catching the afternoon light. I hope I'm not intruding, she says, though her firm expression suggests she doesn't care if she is. I thought you might want to witness. They step in, and suddenly the kitchen feels balanced. 3 against 3. Thomas opens his portfolio on the table, revealing notarized bank statements and highlighted forgeries. These transfers occurred with my client's knowledge or consent, he explains, his voice measured and calm. The signatures have been professionally analyzed and confirmed as forgeries. Vera Lynn's pales. June studies her teacup with sudden interest. That's impossible, Lucas begins, but his protest lacks conviction. It's all documented, Thomas continues, including the credit accounts opened in Miss Bennett's name without her authorization. I stand beside Thomas, aware that my voice no longer shakes when I speak. I'm freezing the joint accounts today and initiating legal separation of property. You can't do that, Vera Lynn snaps, the vulnerable act dropping away. I'm your mother. Being my mother doesn't entitle you to my identity, I reply. Elaine steps forward. I've witnessed Mrs. Bennett admit to signing her daughter's name on multiple occasions, claiming it was just easier that way. I'd be happy to provide a statement. Vera Lynn's mouth opens and closes without sound. The meeting ends with Lucas escorting my mother and June from the kitchen, his certainty visibly shaken. Thomas reviews next steps while Elaine makes tea. For the first time in 12 years, I feel the house expanding around me, making space for my presence. Hours later, after Thomas and Elaine have gone, I return from a walk to find the front door ajar. Inside, Vera Lynn stands in the living room, my suitcases open on the floor, her hands filled with my clothing. What are you doing? I ask. She doesn't look up. Packing your things. If you want independence so badly, you can have it. I watch her methodical movements, recognizing the final desperate maneuver of someone losing control. But this time her actions don't fill me with fear. They set me free. 2 days later, the locksmith slides the new key into my palm, solid and gleaming. All done, ma'am. 3 exterior doors and 2 interior. Nobody's getting in without your say-so now. I close my fingers around the metal, feeling its teeth bite into my skin. Thank you. After he leaves, I walk through each room of the house, testing locks, mentally reclaiming territory. The master bedroom, once Vera Lynn's exclusive domain, now bears a brass deadbolt that only my key can turn. I've moved her things to the guest room while she was at June's yesterday. My phone buzzes with a text from Thomas. Bank accounts separated. Password reset on all financial portals. Documented 6 forged signatures so far. For 12 years, I've been the ghost in this house. Now I'm becoming solid again, one boundary at a time. When Vera Lynn returns that afternoon, her key slides uselessly against new tumblers. I watch through the curtains as confusion crosses her face, followed by indignation. She jabs the key harder, twisting with increasing force until her knuckles whiten. When she finally looks up, our eyes meet through the window. The shock on her face is worth every penny I paid the locksmith. I open the door just enough to speak through the gap. Your things are in the guest room. We need to talk about the forged signatures at the bank. This is ridiculous, she sputters, her voice rising to carry to the neighbors' houses. My own daughter locks me out of my home. My home, I correct her, voice steady. The deed shows I've owned it since Grandma Alice passed. The deed you tried to alter. My home. Her performance falters momentarily before she recovers, eyes brimming with rehearsed tears. I'm calling Lucas. The family needs to know what you're doing. Go ahead, I say, closing the door softly. That evening, my phone lights up with a call from June Parker. I nearly decline it, assuming she's acting as Vera Lynn's proxy, but something makes me answer. Simone, it's June. Her voice sounds different, hesitant, without the usual confidence she displays at my mother's side. Vera Lynn's called an emergency family meeting at my house tomorrow. She's telling everyone you've had some kind of breakdown. My stomach tightens. I expected as much. I thought you should know what she's planning. June pauses, then adds, I could record the conversation, let you hear what she's saying behind your back. The offer surprises me. Why would you do that? Because some things she's claiming don't add up. She said you stole money from her accounts, but I was there when she bragged about using your credit for that cruise last year. Said you'd never notice. I press my hand against the wall to steady myself. She told you that? And more. I kept quiet too long because she was my friend first. That was wrong of me. After we hang up, I sit at my kitchen table, spreading out the financial documents Tomas helped me gather. Each paper represents another betrayal. Forged checks, credit accounts opened in my name, transfers from joint accounts. The evidence forms an undeniable pattern. The next morning, my phone rings again. It's Lucas, his voice uncharacteristically subdued. I just left June's 10. Your mom's saying some pretty extreme things about you. Let me guess. I am unstable, ungrateful, possibly stealing from her. His silence confirms it. Some of what she's claiming doesn't make sense. She said you've never paid toward household expenses, but I remember you mentioning taking a second job to cover the roof repairs last year. The repairs she arranged without telling me, then forged my signature for payment? I keep my voice calm, factual. Lucas, I have the documentation. Actual proof, not just accusations. Another silence. I'd like to see it, if that's okay. Come by tomorrow. I'll show you everything. That night, Tomas calls with updates on the legal documentation he's preparing. We've established a clear pattern of financial exploitation, he says. With the bank records and the forged signatures, we have enough for a formal complaint. While we talk, Elaine from next door drops by with a homemade casserole and helps me rearrange the living room furniture. We move Vera Lynn's heavy wingback chair to the basement and bring my reading chair down from the attic, where it's been stored for years. The room already feels more like mine. How are you sleeping? Elaine asks, straightening a lamp on the side table. Last night was the first time in weeks I didn't wake up at 3 a.m. Wondering what she'd do next, I admit. Good, that's a start. After Elaine leaves, June calls again. Vera Lynn's changing her story now. Yesterday you were irrational and dangerous. Today she's saying you're just confused and need family intervention. Because the dangerous narrative wasn't working? Exactly. Some of the family is starting to ask questions she doesn't want to answer. I thank her for the information, feeling a strange mix of vindication and sadness. When June offered to help me expose my mother's manipulations to the family, I hesitated. Would bringing everything into the light finally free me from her control, or would it just drag me deeper into a conflict I was trying to escape? The next day, Lucas actually comes by as promised. He sits at the kitchen table, carefully reviewing each document I place before him. His expression grows increasingly troubled as the evidence mounts. Why didn't you say something sooner? He finally asks. Would you have believed me over her? His silence is answer enough. As Lucas is leaving, my phone rings. It's Vera Lynn, her voice wobbling dramatically. Simone, I'm terribly ill. The doctor says it's my heart. I need you to take me in again. After everything we've been through, you can't turn me away now. I close my eyes, recognizing the familiar manipulation tactic. But this time, instead of rushing to help, I simply say, I'll have Lucas drive you to the emergency room. If the doctor confirms it's serious, we can discuss next steps. Her startled silence tells me everything I need to know. The old tactics won't work anymore. For the first time in 12 years, I'm writing my own story. 2 days later, the doorbell rings at precisely 8 in the morning. I open it to find Vera Lynn leaning heavily on a cane, her face drawn with exaggerated pain. Simone, she wheezes, clutching her chest. I need to come in. The doctor says my heart isn't good. I step aside wordlessly, watching as she limps dramatically into the living room. The same living room where she once told me to leave her life. Now she wants back in. You look terrible, I say,
not unkindly. Should I call an ambulance? No, the word comes too quickly. I just need rest. And my daughter? She sinks into the armchair, my armchair now, and closes her eyes. The medication makes me so tired. When I turn to get water, I catch her reflection in the hallway mirror. Her grimace vanishes, replaced by calculation, as she surveys the room, taking inventory of what might still be hers. The doorbell rings again. Lucas stands there, hands jammed in his pockets. I heard your mom was sick. Thought I should help mediate things. His eyes dart between us, uncertain where loyalty should land. Perfect timing, I say. Come in. Vera Lynn immediately doubles over, hand pressed to her heart. Lucas, thank goodness. Tell Lucas how serious this is. Lucas shifts uncomfortably. Actually, I interrupt, walking to the bookshelf where I've placed a manila folder. I have something for both of you. I pull out copies of bank statements, each transfer highlighted in yellow. Beside them, the original transfer slips with my forged signature, now notarized with the document examiner's statement confirming the forgery. What is this? Lucas asks, taking the papers. Evidence, I say simply. 12 years of financial manipulation. Accounts opened in my name. Money transferred without my knowledge. Vera Lynn straightens, momentarily forgetting her performance. You're exaggerating. I was just organizing our finances. I pull out another document, sliding it toward Lucas. Her medical records from last week's checkup. Perfect health, no heart issues, no need for medication. Lucas stares at the papers, then at Vera Lynn. Something shifts in his expression, the first crack in his certainty.
Aunt, Vera Lynn's face hardens. She's twisting things, after everything I've done for her. I know exactly what you've done, I say, my voice steady, and I won't go back to being small so you can feel big. Lucas looks at me, really looks at me, perhaps for the first time. These signatures aren't yours? No, I meet his gaze. And I suspect you've signed things for her too. His silence confirms my suspicion. Vera Lynn stands, suddenly forgetting her heart condition. This is ridiculous. I took care of you your whole life. One little fall, and you abandoned your own mother? You didn't fall, I say quietly. The room goes still. Excuse me? Vera Lynn whispers. I called your doctor last week. There was no fracture 12 years ago, just a bruise. You could have managed alone after a few days of rest. Lucas turns to Vera Lynn, color draining from his face. Is that true? Her mask slips completely. The helpless mother vanishes, replaced by cold fury. She would have left me, just like everyone else. I needed her here. So you lied, Lucas says, for 12 years? I walk to the closet and pull out a suitcase I packed 2 days ago, placing it by the front door. The living room around us bears little resemblance to what it once was. I've replaced her beige walls with warm terracotta. Her formal furniture has given way to comfortable pieces in rich, earthy tones. My paintings hang where her bland prints once dominated. What's this? Vera Lynn demands, pointing at the suitcase. Your things, I answer. Just your things. She lunges for a crystal vase on the side table. This is coming with me. It was my mother's. It was Grandma Alice's, I correct her firmly. Not yours, and it stays with me. Her hand freezes mid-reach. For the first time, she seems uncertain. Lucas steps between us. Aunt, let's just take what's in the suitcase. You're taking her side? Vera Lynn spits the words. I'm trying to do what's right, he says quietly. Vera Lynn turns to me, tears filling her eyes on command. After everything we've been through together, no one will ever love you like I do. The words hang in the air between us. I've heard them so many times before. The ultimate manipulation, the final trap. But this time, they sound different to my ears. Thank God for that, I say. Lucas guides Vera Lynn toward the door, her protests growing louder with each step. I watch them go, feeling nothing but a profound relief. The door closes behind them, and the house seems to exhale with me. 2 weeks later, Elaine brings over coffee and news. Vera Lynn moved in with your cousin Margaret in Phoenix, she says. The family's in quite an uproar. Will they ever speak to me again? I ask, surprised to find I care about the answer. Elaine shrugs. Some will, some won't. Does it matter? I consider this as I run my fingers along the spines of books I've brought out of storage. Less than I thought it would. Later that evening, I find a box I haven't opened since moving back home. Inside lies my old sketchbook from art school, filled with half-finished drawings and ideas for projects I never completed. The pages fall open to a self-portrait, abandoned mid-stroke, the outline of a woman with no face. I touch the empty space where my features should be, feeling the indentation of pencil on paper. Tomorrow, I'll buy new pencils. A year later, I have built something for myself. I position my easel near the window, the one I wasn't allowed to open for 12 years because the draft would ruin the curtains. Now, sunlight streams across my canvas, illuminating the half-finished landscape. Outside, spring unfurls in bursts of color that I'm trying to capture with each brushstroke. "That's coming along beautifully, Simone," says Professor Winters, leaning over my shoulder during our community art class. "Your use of light is remarkable." I nod my thanks, still unaccustomed to praise. 3 months ago, I could barely hold a paintbrush without hearing Vera Lynn's voice in my head. Art is a hobby, not a life plan. Now my walls display my vibrant paintings instead of her beige prints of faceless Victorian women. This morning, I bought coffee without calculating whether the expense would trigger questions. Last week, I rearranged furniture without asking permission. Small freedoms that feel enormous. The timer on my phone chimes, company arriving in an hour. 1 year after the birthday dinner that shattered my world, I'm hosting my own gathering. The salmon is already marinating, my recipe, not hers. I've draped my newly purchased tablecloth across the dining table, its pattern bold and geometric, where Vera Lynn's had been delicate and fussy. When the doorbell rings, I open it to find Thomas and Elaine carrying a bottle of wine and wildflowers. "These are from my garden," Elaine says, handing me the colorful bunch. "For your new beginning." June arrives next, looking tentative until I welcome her with a genuine smile. We forged an unexpected friendship since she chose truth over loyalty to my mother. "The house looks completely different," June marvels, taking in the bright throw pillows and art books stacked openly on the coffee table. "It feels alive, like its owner," Lucas adds, raising his glass. During dinner, Lucas asks the question I've been anticipating. "Have you heard from Vera Lynn?" The table quiets. A year ago, this question would have paralyzed me with guilt and anxiety. "She's still with Cousin Margaret in Arizona," I answer evenly. We exchange birthday cards. No bitterness colors my voice. Just simple facts delivered without apology or explanation. Later, as we gather around the dessert, I've baked a lemon tart that would have been deemed too tart in the old days. Thomas raises his glass. "To seeing ourselves clearly at last." "And to those who helped us see," I add, meeting each of their eyes in turn. The next morning, I kneel in the back garden, digging small holes for the lavender and mint seedlings. The soil feels cool between my fingers as I create homes for these fragrant plants that will eventually spread their roots and thrive. Inside, the spare bedroom waits for its transformation. Paint samples and shades of gold and terracotta line one wall. A drafting table sits in the center, and brochures about teaching art therapy classes at the senior center lay open on its surface. "Miss Simone?" 2 young voices interrupt my gardening. The Henderson girls from down the street stand at my garden gate, holding a plate covered with a checkered napkin. "Mom made apple cinnamon muffins," says 8-year-old Katie. "She said to bring you some because your garden makes her feel braver." "Braver?" I ask, accepting the plate. "She started painting again," explains 10-year-old Abby. "She says if you can make beautiful things after everything, maybe she can too." After they leave, I sit on my garden bench, the plate of muffins beside me. I pull out my journal, no longer hidden but displayed proudly on my nightstand, and write, "Maybe I wasn't meant to be seen by them, but to see myself." As I plant new roots in the garden that is finally my own, I wonder if true freedom comes from cutting ties completely or from maintaining them at a safe distance. What would you choose? Clean breaks or careful boundaries?